we have a distinguished guest today, His Excellency Ambassador of Kazakhstan, Yerzhan Kistafin. We welcome you, sir, to Radio Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me, for your kind invitation.
How do you see the Pak-Kazakhstan relations since 1991?
Well, when it comes to cooperation between our two brotherly nations, I must say that today Kazakhstan and Pakistan enjoy very cordial, friendly relations. We are developing and activating different sectors of our bilateral cooperation. When it comes to, for example, our political dialogue, our leaders, they meet on regular basis. And we expect His Excellency Prime Minister Sheikh Abbas Sharif to visit Astana this July for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. And then we expect our Prime Minister to visit Islamabad this autumn, maybe in October, for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's meeting of the Prime Ministers. So in fact, our political leaders, they stressed several times that cooperation between Kazakhstan and Pakistan should be activated. So when it comes to our economic cooperation, we must unfortunately recognize that we are far below from the real potential that we have. And in fact, I always see that our trade relations, we can easily, hit 1 billion. But to boost our bilateral trade, we should be first of all on developing our connectivity between Kazakhstan and Pakistan. So in fact, we are developing our cooperation in culture, in education, like you rightly mentioned, in agriculture. For example, last December we held the 12th session of our Intergovernmental Joint Commission, and it was agreed to establish a joint working group on agriculture. This year we are planning to hold the very first session of at the level of our ministers. And in December, for example, we held the first online session between Minister of Communications and Minister of Transport to discuss what can be done, what should be done to develop connectivity between our countries in order to boost our bilateral trade.
You mentioned the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This is the platform where the regional countries have an agenda for the common goals of the improvement of the lives of the people of this region and to build the peaceful societies. So do you think the upcoming meeting would be helpful in achieving these goals?
In fact, right now Kazakhstan is chairing the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and we prioritize several areas for developing cooperation within the region at the multilateral format. The first one is combat terrorism. We believe that this is a threat, this is a challenge that can be and should be addressed only through coordinated joint measures. In Pakistan, what we see is that you are also suffering from this, problem, and this is why we do believe that we should develop cooperation between our law enforcement, between our security services, to establish regular dialogue, regular interaction. Another very important pillars that we are focused on are our trade and economic relations, energy sector, climate change, IT sector. So we believe that these areas of utmost importance, not only for Kazakhstan, not only for Pakistan, but for the entire region and for the whole, I would say, international community. And this is our firm belief that we should develop our multilateral interaction in this very important field. And when it comes to these areas which I mentioned, I must say that it is not only of our interest within the framework of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it is also of great interest for developing cooperation with Pakistan at our bilateral level. So this year we will be holding a number of very important events, not only the SCO summit. We expect at the end of this month defense ministers meeting, and His Excellency Minister of Defense Khawaja, as if he is planning to visit Kazakhstan, then we will be holding at the end of May the foreign ministers meeting in Astana, then meeting of the ministers of transport, then meeting of ministers of culture, tourism, so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is that we are trying to activate this interaction at the regional level, and I do believe that this cooperation within the framework framework of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization will also help us to boost cooperation between Kazakhstan and Pakistan in particular. Because when it comes to developing connectivity, which I already mentioned, we have to cross at least 2 countries in the region. Be it China, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and they are members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So it will help us to boost cooperation, the multilateral level as well as at the bilateral level.
His Excellency, you just mentioned the road connectivity, and in the ancient times when we go through our historical cultural bond between Kazakhstan and Pakistan, they are 1,000 years old. There was Silk Route,
Great Silk Road.
That was a very well documented trade route, and so many books, travelogues have been written about that. Would you shed some light on that historical bonds between 2 countries, particularly, and the revival of the Silk Route?
In fact, our regions, our nations cooperated for centuries. Then, due to some events that took place in the past, we lost these connections. Now we believe that it's time to revive those relations that we used to enjoy in the past. And whenever, for example, I visit Lahore, I will always see those, historical roots, historical commonalities that we have. Whenever I visit Badshahi Mosque, which was built by our ancestors, by the emperors of the Mughal Empire, these people, they came from Central Asia. And I see that even in terms of architecture, in terms of the style, design, that is very close to us. And this is why we do believe that we should develop these kind of interaction, these kind of ties between our countries. And you absolutely rightly mentioned that this Silkway that we used to have in the past, it in fact linked our regions, linked our great cities of that time. And what we're trying to do now, we're trying to activate cooperation at the level of the provinces, at the level of the cities, at the level of the regions. What I'm saying is that, for example, we are in talks with Lahore. We want to establish a sister cities between Lahore, which is considered as a spiritual, historical capital of Pakistan, with Turkestan. Turkestan is considered as a cradle of nomadic Turkic civilization. For example, in Turkestan there is a mausoleum of Khaja Ahmed Yassawi, who is one of the greatest Sufis. He was one of the first, in fact, founders of the Sufi order. And we know how Sufism is, popular here in Pakistan. So we want to connect our 2 historical cities. Then we are talking about connecting, for example, Multan, a city of saints, with a city of Taraz in Kazakhstan. Taraz is an ancient city, and Taraz was a part of the Great Silk Road. So what I'm saying is that such kind of fusion, such kind of combination can help us to link our countries historically, to relink, I would say. And on the other hand, we can explore what can be done today in terms of our trade relations, in terms of our cultural relations, in terms of our, education, cooperation in education. So this is what we do. And another very important area that we are working on, it is about establishing interaction between our museums. For example, in Lahore, you have Museum of Lahore, one of the biggest, and I would say one of the best. I visited several times in Museum of Lahore, and I was really impressed by historical heritage that you conserved in this museum. So we want to develop cooperation between our museums to organize exhibitions on a regular basis, and then we want to develop cooperation between our historians. We have one great historian who his research is based on the DNA test, and what he says is that in fact in the province of Sindh, today province of Sindh, our nation, our ancestors, they ruled this province for 70 years in the medieval. And we need to bring this knowledge that we are not just neighbors and other neighbors in the region. We are not just, those countries who have kind of commonalities, but we are nations that used to have very close ties in history.
In culture, we have common history, common bonds, common heritage, our literature, our spiritual literature, and our poetry. That has got roots in the Central Asian traditions, even starting from Rumi and so many things which are common. And the city of Bukhara, that fabulous city, and Astana, they are not some foreign names to our students in our history departments at the universities. So how we can further improve the relations between the cultural icons of two nations, literary figures, the artisans, the singers, so many other aspects of the filmmakers, the radio production teams, their exchanges. So what roadmap you have got for this kind of cultural bond which the two countries want to further cement?
So as I said, in December last year in Astana, we held the 12th session of our Intergovernmental Joint Commission, and during this very important event, an MOU on cooperation in culture was signed. So now our next step is to organize a meeting of our ministries. From your side, it would be Ministry of Culture and National Heritage. From our side, it would be Ministry of Information and Culture. So we want to arrange their talks, direct talks, and we want to elaborate on a 2-year roadmap, where we would mention all the events that we are planning to organize in Kazakhstan and in Pakistan. This year we are planning also to sign an MOU on cooperation in media. We want to boost interaction between our TV channels, our radio, like yours one, between our newspapers, to establish direct exchange of information. This is extremely important because nowadays, unfortunately, we receive news from third sides, and we need to deliver and we need to establish direct channels of communications. This is extremely important, and unfortunately we have to recognize that these I would say third sides, most of the time they have bad news about our region, while we have so many good positive developments are taking place. So for us it is very important to bring a real situation on the ground, real developments which are taking place, to show our people, first of all, potential that we have for developing cooperation in different areas, be it trade, be it culture, be it education, so on and so forth. And secondly, to show them how close we are to each other. This is extremely important. For us today, and not only for Kazakhstan and Pakistan, nowadays the main priority for any country in the world is to develop a regional cooperation, to develop your, let's say, trade with your immediate neighbor. If you have a look to at the European Union, their biggest trade partners are the members of the European Union. If you look at NAFTA, North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement, so they are developing, their main priorities are remain in their own region. The same should be done here.
There are, His Excellency, infrastructure problems, the way we have just talked about the lack of the road connectivity, because the Type A pipeline that is also still stalled because of this infrastructure and security issues in the region. And I think Shanghai Cooperation Organization in its coming session would be addressing these issues. The trade volume between two countries, Kazakhstan and Pakistan, please inform our audience that are you satisfied with that? Kazakhstan is a cotton producing country, Pakistan is a textile producing country. In that particular sector, the textile sector, is there any cooperation worth mentioning between two countries?
Well, let me start from your first question concerning our bilateral trade volume. Last year it was $100 million, but frankly speaking, it's nothing. When it comes to Pakistan and Kazakhstan, we have great potential, and as I already mentioned, that we can easily hit 1 billion. 1 billion is a must. But to boost our bilateral trade, we should, again, as I said, develop connectivity between our countries. In fact, we already have land routes connecting Kazakhstan and Pakistan. We have different options. And nowadays, we are working closely with big logistic companies from Pakistan, such as NLC, TCS, Faisal Movers. These companies, they are interested in doing business with Kazakhstan, not mentioning, smaller companies that deliver goods between our countries for decades. Now what we need to do, we need to be focused on developing a railway connectivity. Because if we want to boost our bilateral trade, it first of all comes to bulks. For example, your country is interested in wheat. Kazakhstan is in top 10 in the world among wheat exporters, and if we establish, if there is a well-established railway connectivity, we can easily deliver our wheat. Then nowadays, unfortunately, Pakistan experiences great energy deficiency, and again, Kazakhstan is rich of oil, gas, uranium, coal, so on and so forth. So if there is a railway link, we can easily deliver our LNG, LBG, and other energy resources to Pakistan, and vice versa. We are interested in doing business, for example, in agriculture, in textile, like you mentioned. So there are so many ideas for developing cooperation. Going back to the textile industry, Kazakhstan is a cotton producing country, and for example, in the southern region of our country, we established a special economic zone, which is mostly focused on developing our textile potential. Since Pakistan is in top 10 in the world among textile textile powers, we can learn a lot from you, and we would love to invite your textile companies to visit Kazakhstan to explore the business opportunities. Nowadays, we are developing, for example, cooperation between our designers, fashion designers, because to me, as I understood, fashion industry is very important one. Because when we activate cooperation between our fashion industries, it is not only about textile. It is also about jewelry. It is also about craftsmanship, all other sectors which are relevant to the fashion industry. And through such kind of cooperation, I was really amazed to learn how many things in common again we have.
Excellency, the energy sector is one of the sector where two countries can make a lot of progress for common interests, and particularly the Pakistan is in need of energy, and again that infrastructure, that road connectivity, these are the issues which need to be addressed. Are there any MOUs regarding the other routes which are possible from Gilgit-Baltistan, from Wakhan Steppe, or through the Xinjiang? Are there any possibilities for those routes?
4 years back, we established a joint working group on energy cooperation. Dr. Musaddiq Malik, he visited our capital twice to meet with his counterpart, with the Minister of Energy, to discuss possible ways to develop cooperation between our countries in this very important field. Now, when it comes to possible routes for delivering energy sources from Kazakhstan to Pakistan, we are working on this issue, and I think that this year, next year, we will find a solution to this very important aspect of our cooperation. And I think that there will be a number of options, but again, we have to develop a railway connectivity. In fact, today we have one railroad connecting our countries. It goes from Kazakhstan to Turkmenistan, then Iran, and from Iran to Pakistan. But the problem is that we have never ever used this railroad to deliver goods. So what we need to do, again, it is about developing a regional approach, because it is not connecting our countries directly, as I said. It is about crossing other countries in the region. So this is why it is very important to establish friendly environment in the regional term, to make our business people easily communicate and easily deliver goods between our countries. So this is why we should establish talks not only at our bilateral level, I mean Kazakhstan and Pakistan, but we also should engage Turkmenistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, to see what can be done in order to create this friendly environment.
To conclude our conversation, I would like His Excellency that you should give some message for our audience, for our countrymen, about our brotherly ties. Our history is common, our heritage is common, and our future and our destiny is also common. Our dreams are common, which we share.
Thank you so much. So, in fact, this year we celebrate the 30th anniversary of establishing our diplomatic presence in your beautiful country. 30 years back, for the first time, we established our embassy in Pakistan. Last year, we established in Lahore our Kazakhstan.Host. So my message would be to establish as many Kazakhstan houses in Pakistan and as many Pakistani houses in Kazakhstan as we can, to develop cooperation and to contribute to strengthening ties between our two brotherly nations.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, Ambassador of Kazakhstan, Yerzhan Kistafin.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for visiting Radio Pakistan
Thank you.
and sparing your precious time
Thank you.
to talking to our
My pleasure.
audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.